The soda can struck the marble path with a flat, wet thud, splattering sticky liquid across the mirror-bright boots of the tomb guard. A ripple went through the crowd at Arlington National Cemetery, a sharp inhale, a frozen pause. The late morning heat pressed down like a weight, but in that instant, every whisper, every shuffle died. Tyler Grayson, 13, pale hair sculpted, sneakers worth more than a week's wages for most, smirked behind the gleam of his phone camera. This was the shot he'd post the moment the statue soldier finally cracked. Maybe a flinch, maybe a glare. Something to break the monotony of this boring stop on his family's East Coast tour. Ethan Caldwell didn't flinch. His eyes, shaded by the brim of his kepi and dark lenses, locked forward. But something in the set of his jaw, in the faint twitch at the corner of his mouth, told a quieter truth the offense had landed. To the untrained eye, he was still stone. To anyone who had ever worn a uniform, his silence was a controlled blade. In that single heartbeat, a boy's casual disrespect had touched something far deeper, and the consequences, though invisible now, would soon stretch far beyond this courtyard of marble and shadow. What Tyler didn't know, what most of the crowd didn't see, was that Ethan Caldwell was not only guarding a tomb, he was guarding a promise. A promise he had made over a flag-draped coffin the day they lowered his older brother, Michael, into the ground. The sun blazed high, glinting off rows of white headstones that seemed to march into infinity. It was Memorial Day, and the crowd was thick. Families in summer hats, veterans in faded caps, foreign tourists clutching guidebooks. The air was heavy with that peculiar stillness that comes when something sacred is about to unfold. The guards' measured steps, 21 forward, an exact pivot, 21 back, echoed like a slow drum. His navy tunic bore not a speck of dust. His gloves were white as winter, his boots so polished they held the sky in their surface. Among the onlookers stood the Graysons of California. Jonathan Grayson, tech executive, suit jacket open but still glued to his phone. Lauren Grayson, designer sunglasses, map in hand, scanning for the next Instagrammable landmark. Between them, their son shifted, restless. "This is so lame," Tyler muttered, loud enough to turn a few heads. "Why are we watching some guy just walk back and forth? It's 100 degrees. "Tyler," Lauren murmured without looking up, "just try to appreciate it. This is important." "Important?" He scrolled without pause. "It's just some old tomb, probably just some wannabe soldier playing dress-up." Two older veterans in the front row stiffened. One glanced at the other, a slow shake of the head. Farther down the line, a black man in a worn army cap, one of the grounds crew, shot Tyler a look sharp enough to cut marble. But Tyler never noticed. He had already shifted his phone into landscape mode, the soda can cooling in his palm. Somewhere beyond the heat and the crowd's murmurs, the click of Ethan Caldwell's heels marked the next turn in his relentless watch. Tyler smiled to himself, ready for his moment. He stepped forward, past the rope. The can left his hand. The boots did not move, but the air changed. Jonathan didn't glance up from his phone. "Let him complain, Lauren. He'll get over it." The crowd, however, had already begun to quiet. Ethan Caldwell completed his measured 21 steps, pivoted, and faced the tomb. Every movement was flawless, a living pledge to the unknown dead. This post was not a job you applied for. It was one you earned through years of exacting drills, inspections, and silent tests of will. For Ethan, every shift carried the weight of Afghanistan, where his older brother Michael had been lost to an IED. In the rhythm of his steps, Michael walked again, and so did every soldier who had come home draped in a flag. But to Tyler Grayson, those steps were just content waiting to be captured. "I'm going to get a sick video of this guy," he muttered, phone lifting. "Bet I can make him flinch." He spoke loud enough for people in the next row to hear. "Yo, check out this robot soldier. Bet he's sweating buckets under that hat." A couple of tourists turned, their brows tightening. One woman pursed her lips and shifted her little boy behind her. Tyler barely noticed. He was used to the spotlight, used to the soft landings his parents provided when he crossed lines. At home, teachers overlooked his smart remarks. Friends admired his family's money. To him, boundaries were just suggestions. Ethan turned again, the slow, precise pivot catching the light on his boots. Tyler's restlessness curdled into mischief. His fingers brushed the half-empty soda can left from lunch, condensation slick against his palm. "This is going to be epic," he whispered. He stepped toward the rope, ignoring the "stay back" placards. A shift in the crowd followed, subtle, wary. The murmurs thickened. Jonathan and Lauren didn't look up. The can left Tyler's hand in a casual flick. It struck the marble with a dull slap, caramel-colored liquid spraying across Ethan's boots. The crowd gasped. The sound was sharp, collective, like a flagpole rope snapping in the wind. Ethan's stride didn't break. His face remained carved stone, sunglasses hiding the slow burn in his eyes. But his jaw... It tightened. A fraction, enough for those watching closely to sense the storm banked beneath the surface. Years of combat, roadside blasts, and folded flags had taught him steadiness. This, though the casual smirk of a boy born into comfort, flinging disrespect as if it were a game, landed differently. Tyler laughed louder now, buoyed by the audible tension. Yo, he didn't even blink. Total statue. He zoomed his phone toward the black-shined boots. "Check out the mess I made. This is going viral." In the second row, an elderly black man in a Vietnam veteran's cap leaned toward his wife. "That kid's got no respect," he muttered. "Someone needs to teach him what that uniform means." Tyler kept going, leaning over the rope. "Hey, soldier boy, you gonna clean that up or what? Bet you can't even talk." This time, no one laughed. A mother pulled her children close. A group of teenagers shook their heads. Jonathan finally looked up. "Tyler, what are you doing? Get back here." "Relax, Dad." Tyler waved him off. "I'm just having fun. These guys are paid to stand there." The click of Ethan's heels stopped. The air itself seemed to hold its breath. "Right? They work for us." The words left Tyler's mouth with a lazy shrug, but they hung in the air like a bad note. A few people flinched. One man in the crowd muttered something under his breath. Ethan Caldwell's sunglasses hid his eyes, but for a single, pointed second, he locked on to Tyler. He'd been called worse in combat zones. He'd heard slurs hurled over sandbag walls and seen arrogance cost men their lives. But here, at the tomb of the unknown soldier, this boy's casual contempt scraped deeper. This wasn't about him. This was about Michael, about the countless who had died nameless, never chasing likes, never tasting wealth. Tyler was unmoved. He raised his phone like a trophy. Time for the money shot. The rope barrier wasn't even a hesitation. He stepped over, sneakers squeaking against the marble. Murmurs swelled in the heat, phones tilted up, lenses tracking him. He strutted toward Ethan, arm high for a selfie. "Yo, me and the statue guy. This is gonna get 1,000,000 likes." That was the line. Protocol told Ethan to hold to let the chain of command handle it. But something in the boy's grin, in the audacity of a body crossing that rope, cracked the discipline he'd forged over years. In one motion, Ethan moved. A single step forward, fast, controlled his gloved hand closing around the phone. He plucked it from Tyler's grip and let it drop. The screen hit the pavement with a crack that echoed off the stone, sharp as a rifle report. The crowd froze. Tyler's jaw unhinged. You broke my phone." His voice pitched high, teetering between outrage and disbelief. "That's a $2,000 phone. You're gonna pay for that." Ethan returned to his post. His posture was perfect, his gaze straight ahead. But the air had shifted, charged, taut. In the crowd, a few people smirked in quiet satisfaction. Others just stared. Through the press of bodies, Inspector Laura Bennett advanced, security in tow. 15 years at Arlington had given her a calm no teenager's tantrum could shake. Speaking into her radio, she said evenly, "Situation at the tomb." Minor crossed the line. Sentinel responded. Jonathan Grayson pushed forward, face flushed. "This is outrageous. That soldier assaulted my son. I'm calling my lawyer. Do you even know who I am?" Laura raised a hand, firm but not loud. "Sir, your son threw a soda can at a tomb guard and crossed a restricted barrier. That's assault and trespassing on federal property. You're lucky the Sentinel didn't do more." "He's a kid." Lauren's voice sharpened, clutching her purse. "Ma'am," Laura said, steady, "age doesn't excuse defiling the tomb. This is a sacred place. Your son crossed the line literally and figuratively." Tyler stared at the web of cracks across his screen, then lifted his head. For the first time, he saw the crowd, not the phones, but the faces. Anger, disgust, disappointment. A group of veterans stood like a wall. One, a black woman in her 60s with a Marine Corps pin, stepped forward just enough for her voice to carry. "I buried friends here," she said. "You should be ashamed." In the distance, the first posts hit the internet. The tag was already forming. Number Arlington Kid. Somewhere in the back of the crowd, a voice muttered, "This won't end here." Clips of Tyler's stunt, the can toss, the jeers, the crack of his phone were already racing across TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. News tickers ran the headline, entitled "Teen Disrespects Tomb of the Unknown Soldier." "Escort the family to the security office," Inspector Laura Bennett ordered. "We need to sort this out." Jonathan started to protest, but the guards didn't break stride. The crowd parted with a mix of judgment and satisfaction. Some snapped photos. Others muttered about spoiled rich kids. Back at the tomb, Ethan Caldwell resumed his 21 steps, soda stains drying dark across his perfect shine. His focus was a mask. Inside, he felt the churn of having broken protocol, something drilled into sentinels never to do. But regret hadn't arrived. Not yet. The Graysons were led into a cool, narrow room lined with black and white photos of Arlington's past. Colonel Margaret Hayes was waiting. A black woman in her 50s, silver hair cut close, her uniform immaculate she didn't waste breath. "Mr. Grayson," she began, voice even but edged, "your son committed assault on a federal officer and defiled a national monument." Jonathan leaned forward, corporate charm sliding into place. "Colonel, I'm sure we can resolve this. I'll write a check, cover damages, make it go away quietly." "This isn't about money," Hayes cut in, her gaze locking his. "It's about respect. Or rather, the lack of it. Your son needs to understand actions have consequences, no matter how much money cushions him." Lauren clutched Jonathan's arm. Laura Bennett, standing nearby, added, "A kid who thinks he's above the rules. And judging by your reactions, I see where he gets it." Tyler slouched in his chair, the swagger leaking away. His lifeline, the phone, lay in pieces. Online, the world was not laughing with him. For the first time that day, he felt smaller than the room he sat in. Margaret Hayes stood. "I'm calling in a specialist to assess your son. This isn't just punishment. This is about making sure he understands what he's done. Until then, you're not leaving Arlington." An hour later, Dr. Emily Carter arrived. 38, calm-eyed, a psychologist who had spent her career with troubled teens. She was also black, and the Graysons' subtle shift in tone when she entered did not escape her notice. Emily had seen Tyler's type before, insulated by privilege, hungry for attention, unacquainted with responsibility. She sat across from him in a smaller adjoining office, legal pad balanced on her knee. "Tyler," she said evenly, "I need you to tell me why you did what you did." He shrugged, gaze sliding away. "I was bored. The guy was just standing there like a robot." Thought it'd be funny. Funny? Emily's brow lifted. You threw a soda can at a soldier guarding the tomb of the unknown soldier. Do you know what that tomb represents? Tyler mumbled. Soldiers, I guess. Her voice softened but did not lose its edge. Soldiers who never came home, whose names their families never got to say again. Men and women who died so you could stand here free to mock them if you choose. That's what you mocked, Tyler. For the first time, Tyler didn't have a quick answer. Tyler shrugged again. Some dead soldiers, I guess. Emily Carter leaned in, her tone calm but edged with steel. Those dead soldiers gave their lives for this country. They died so you could have the freedom to stand here and act like a fool. That guard, Ethan Caldwell, is honoring them. And you disrespected that. Tyler shifted in his chair. It was just a soda can. It's not like I hurt him. It's not about physical harm, Emily replied. It's about respect. You treated a sacred place like your personal playground. How do you think that guard felt? I don't know, Tyler muttered. He didn't even react. That's because he's trained to stand like stone, even when people try to provoke him. But he felt it, and so did every veteran in that crowd. Tyler's fingers fidgeted against his knee. For the first time, Ethan's figure in his mind wasn't a faceless prop, it was a man. Outside, the storm was swelling. CNN and Fox News ran the clip on repeat. Number Arlington Kid trended worldwide. Commentators debated privilege and parenting. A veteran's viral post read, "This boy needs to learn what sacrifice means. The tomb isn't a joke." Jonathan's phone buzzed with frantic PR calls. Stock prices were dipping. Lauren's social feeds flooded with scorn until she locked them down. Back in the office, Emily faced Margaret Hayes and the Graysons. Tyler needs a wake-up call. I'm recommending a 4-week community service program here at Arlington Grounds Crew, veteran interviews, learning the tomb's history. If he refuses, we escalate to juvenile court. Jonathan's face went pale. You can't be serious. He's a kid, not a criminal. He committed assault on federal property, Margaret said flatly. Be grateful we're offering an alternative to charges. This is about teaching, not punishing. Lauren's voice wavered. But our vacation. Paris next week. Your vacation is over, Laura Bennett said from the corner. Your son's education starts now. Tyler sat in silence, the words 4 weeks echoing in his head. Cleaning a cemetery, it was unthinkable, but one look into Emily's steady gaze told him there was no escape. The next morning, his world shifted. Gone were the limited edition sneakers and custom shirts. At dawn, he pulled on jeans and a plain work shirt, meeting the veterans of the grounds crew. They handed him a broom without ceremony. Under the Virginia sun, Tyler swept pathways, scrubbed bird droppings from marble, and polished headstones until his arms ached. He complained through the first week the crew didn't care. They were men and women who had served in wars he barely knew by name. One afternoon, Emily led him to a shaded bench where Clara Thompson waited. 90 years old, white hair pinned back, her hands trembled but her voice was sure. I held boys younger than you as they died, Clara told him, eyes fixed somewhere past the present. They didn't know if we'd win, but they fought anyway. That's what the tomb is for those who gave everything. Her words hung in the summer air, heavy as the flag above them. For the first time, Tyler wondered if maybe this wasn't just punishment, maybe it was the start of something else. Tyler listened. No smirk, no comeback, just silence. Clara's words had settled somewhere deep, heavier than any history class. This wasn't a movie or a game. It was real. By the third week, Memorial Day arrived. Tyler stood in the crowd as Ethan Caldwell marched. The precision of his steps, the unbroken focus, the way veterans saluted with quiet pride, it all landed differently now. He understood this wasn't just ceremony. It was a promise that those who gave everything would never be forgotten. On the final day of his program, Emily arranged a meeting. A small office overlooked the rows of white marble. Colonel Hayes was there, Emily beside her. Ethan walked in wearing civilian clothes, but his posture still carried the weight of the uniform. Tyler's stomach knotted. He faced the man he had once mocked. "I'm sorry," Tyler began, voice low but steady. "I was a jerk. I didn't understand what you do or what this place means. I treated you like a prop. That was wrong." Ethan's face was unreadable. "Why'd you do it, kid?" "I thought it'd make me look cool online," Tyler admitted. "I didn't think about you as a person, or the soldiers you're honoring. I've talked to veterans these past weeks. My grandpa was a Marine. If he'd seen me that day, he'd be ashamed." Ethan nodded slowly. "My brother Michael was a soldier too. Died in Afghanistan when I was your age. I guard this tomb for him and for all who didn't come home. When you threw that soda, you weren't just disrespecting me, you were disrespecting them." Tyler's throat tightened. "I get that now. I can't undo it, but I want to make it right." "You're starting to," Ethan said. "Owning your mistake takes guts. Keep listening. Keep learning. That's how you honor the fallen." "I will," Tyler promised. Ethan extended his hand. Tyler shook it, the grip firm and real. For the first time, he felt seen, not as a spoiled kid, but as someone capable of change. The story didn't end there. Tyler's transformation became part of the same news cycle that had once vilified him. Number Arlington Kid faded, replaced by stories about the tomb guard lesson. He started a blog about sacrifice and respect, writing in plain words for kids like him, kids who thought history was just something in books. Jonathan and Lauren, humbled by the fallout, enrolled in parenting workshops, determined to set a different example. Ethan returned to his post, boots polished, steps precise, a silent guardian beneath the sundae. The cracked phone was never replaced. But what Tyler carried out of Arlington, humility, respect, and the knowledge that some things are bigger than yourself, was worth more than any gadget. And the tomb of the unknown soldier stood as it always had, unshaken, sacred, waiting for the next generation to understand its silence.